Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one size fits all protocols, just real answers, deep rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show. Hello, Claude.
Hi.
Guys, Claude is incredible. I am so happy you are here on this podcast. We're gonna have a fun conversation today. So we've already had a fun conversation before we started recording. But
True.
Claude is an online women's health coach who helps women escape diet prison and learn to trust their bodies again and heal their relationship with themselves. And she has a beautiful story I'm excited for you to share. And the way you help women is so incredible as well. So I'm gonna give the floor to you. Please introduce yourself and tell us all about you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Shannon. Honored to be here. So I was a professional backup dancer for 18 years. And so you can imagine, the discipline that I had, and bodies had to look a certain way, always fit, always, overall healthy.
Mhm.
And in 2020, I was 38 and I decided I want to have a baby with my husband. I never wanted kids until I met him. And then he kind of made me feel like it would be fun to have a child and add someone to our family. So I got pregnant in 2019, had my son in January of 2020, and had pretty bad postpartum depression anxiety, which I'd never dealt with depression or anxiety of any form in my life. So this was all very like, what is happening? And then, of course, COVID hit in March of 2020. Our
Mhm.
whole industry was shut down. So my husband and I were left without any work. And then we were just basically trapped inside. And yeah, I just dealt with suicidal ideation that whole year. We were living in a tiny, like one bedroom apartment in the middle of Toluca Lake in LA. And I knew that I had to get out of there. So we moved to Vegas. And then I just kept thinking to myself, like, during this time, I really don't want to go back to like the hustle of the dance world, the choreography world. And I wanted just something to do at home. Every day, like, what can I do from home? I tried teaching dance on Zoom, and that is just a horrible idea. There's like a music lag, and it's just awful. Um, and in that year, I also gained 40 pounds. So I sort of soothed my depression and anxiety with alcohol, food, ate
Mhm.
the worst things, And then I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in October of 2020, Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune issue that attacks the thyroid if you don't handle it.
Mhm.
So I decided in January of 2021 to like start my a direct sales business selling skincare and makeup to women. And I went live on my Instagram, and I had a few followers because my husband and I were cast members in a Beachbody workout, and
Oh.
Beachbody's like huge. And so I had a lot of people, a lot of women following me from Beachbody, which is awesome. And when I told them I was doing this and why, like, so many women messaged me like, oh my gosh, I too went through horrible postpartum. I couldn't tell anyone. I dealt with it on my own. And so there was a lot of reality there, a lot of trust that I built with my audience. And as every day waking up with something to do, with a purpose to help these women glow up with good skincare and makeup, I started to come out of the depression and anxiety. And then it was like, okay, now I started to pay more because my mind was feeling better. I started to pay more attention to my body,
Mhm.
and I started seeking answers. Of course, doctors didn't know. All they'll tell you is you have an autoimmune disease. There's nothing you can do. It's genetic. It's just there.
Yep.
And inside, I was like, okay, well, I'm not accepting this as an answer. I know there's something I can do. And in my search, I finally found functional nutrition.
Mhm.
And in 6 months, I reversed my Hashimoto's. My numbers went from 400 to 136. Normal range is like 30 or below. So they still weren't normal, but they were significantly lower. And I lost 35 pounds. So I was like, what? And my clients who were, buying skincare and makeup from me were like, wow, Claude, you look amazing. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Um, and I would send all of them to Rachel Shearer, who was my functional
Mhm.
nutritionist. And eventually I heard someone on stage at like a business summit. And he was like, if you have saved yourself, if you've overcome a problem, it's now your job to help others do the same. And it was like an instant, like, oh my gosh, I need to help women do what I've done for myself with the help of Rachel, of course. And so Rachel certified me in functional nutrition and helped me build a course. And I just fired off this online coaching business of like helping women do this. And it, I mean, it flew so fucking fast.
Mhm.
Um, and that worked. And I lived this way, eating, no gluten, dairy, sugar, or alcohol for 3 years. And I was very in your face, cutthroat, no bullshit. Like, shut your excuses up, shut your shit up. Just do what I tell you to do. This is the way to lose weight. Um, and I was just this no BS, person. And then in June of 2023, I had implants that were 18 years old. And I started to feel a little like out of alignment with having fake boobs. I'm a health representative. I represent health. Now, everybody gives me a hard time about my tattoos. I got these years ago. There's nothing I can do about them. Like, I'm not going to remove them. I'm not a fan of getting ink in your skin anymore. But the bags were definitely something I could remove. And it was like an instant, like, I need to get them out. And so I got them out, and my body went into a super inflammatory state. And I thought the opposite would happen. Like, thank you, Chloe, for getting these bags out of me. Like, this is
Mhm.
what I thought my body would say, but it was kind of like not. And I gained 15 pounds despite still following anti-inflammatory, you know, lifestyle, sleep, exercise, the whole thing. Like, I was a fucking nobody was like more disciplined than me in my mind. I wake up at the same time every day. I worked out 5 days a week, weight training. I ate like a freaking psychopath, like 3 meals a day, no snacks, weighed every single meal. Like, I was on it.
Mhm.
And so after a few months after the surgery, no weight, like no change. And I just kept gaining weight. And now this was weird for me because here I am, I'm a weight loss coach.
Yep.
I'm a functional nutritionist. What I'm doing, what I'm telling my clients to do is no longer working for me.
Mhm.
So I met with my business coach at the time, and I kind of explained what I was going through and feeling. He's like, "Well, just get a new coach. You need new macros, you need new workouts, just a new set of things."
Ah.
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Uh-huh.
So I hire a new coach, a friend of mine who I love. Like, her approach works for some.
Mhm.
She gave me like more intense workouts, and like
Wow.
as a dancer, you are in hustle culture, you are disciplined, you are like, I've got to be better than everyone else. I have to work harder than everyone else. I have to train more than everyone else to stay on top of my game, because the next time I go to an audition and I'm in a room with 20 other brunettes and we're fighting for one spot,
Mhm.
like, my shit needs to be on point. So I grew up in this mentality. So when somebody says, I need more intensity from you, you need to run faster, I'm like, okay, this is what's going to get me the results.
Yep.
So I listened and I trusted, which everyone should do, like, fine. And a year later, nothing.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there looking at my life like, most of this shit makes me fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I can't enjoy a fucking bowl of grapes in the afternoon with my son and my husband, or when they want to go have a donut, I'm like sitting there, like, watching them
Mhm.
with my coffee with no sugar in it. Like, it was a moment of awakening
Mhm.
of, okay, well, fuck, like, now what?
Mhm.
And I basically one day was like, fuck it.
Mhm.
I'm going to stop counting the macros. I'm going to stop restricting myself. I'm going to follow my joy. And I had been like listening to videos at the time, this lady named Abraham Hicks, who was like, follow your joy. And do what makes you happy, which was a totally different mentality than
Yes.
I've been following my whole life. It's not about what makes you happy. It's just work harder.
Yeah. What gets you the result, whatever it means.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how you feel, do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it was terrifying, but also waking up and being able to choose what to eat instead of feeling like I have to eat something, being able to have a snack with my son in the middle of the morning. I was like, oh my God, like this feels so freeing. I'm no longer like in this prison, which for so long felt like that's what I had to do. And I didn't mind until it didn't
Mm-hmm.
make me feel happy. I started to see that I was doing it for a very egotistical reason. Like, look at me. And I work out every day. I'm on Instagram, like, boom, boom, look at me. I'm weighing my food. I'm like, who am I doing this for? And so all this stuff kind of came crashing down at the same time. Within that time, I was introduced to GLP-1s
Mm-hmm.
and I started seeing women talk about it on Instagram in a positive way of how it had helped them heal this and heal that and microdosing. I was like, what is this shit all about?
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing something. And one day this random reel shows up on my timeline and it's this guy named Hunter Williams, who I love. He talks all things peptides. And he's like, you guys, like GLP-1 is a peptide. It's not a drug, it's not a medication, it's a peptide. And here are the benefits of this peptide. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay. Like there's something here. And I started with semaglutide that a doctor I was working with at the time had suggested, but I was like so anti.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, that's the easy way. Like I was definitely that coach. Like fucking do the hard work. Like I did. Okay.
Yep.
Don't be a little bitch. Like I was just and so semaglutide didn't really help me much. I did it for 2 months and I didn't really see any difference. And then there was another one that popped up called retatrutide, which is a triple agonist and it's not FDA approved, which I love because that's just my thoughts. Anything the FDA doesn't approve, I approve. So I was like, I'm going to try it and lost what, 12 pounds in 12 weeks after a year of trying to lose a pound and couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but my autoimmune symptoms, like I just didn't have any. I had no inflammation. My joints weren't hurting. Like I had no brain fog. I had all this energy. I started to feel at home in my body again. Like, oh, this is the body I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Capable, able to eat things and process it and lose weight. Like, we're here. And I started to give myself more and more food freedom to like have gluten again, which is so terrifying when you have something like Hashimoto's. You think, oh, but I made a decision, Shannon. I made a decision that I just didn't have the autoimmune anymore. And I think a lot of disease is mental and it's an agreement we make, it's a decision we make, and it's the belief that we have around it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be an energetic match to disease for it to be in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that, it's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense when I got the disease. I was depressed, I was suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
I was a fucking magnet for it. But
Yep.
I'm no longer there. And if I cause the disease to be there, I can definitely cause it to not be there. So I have just decided to live my life as if I just don't have it. I am healthy, my body is well. Every cell in my body knows what to do. And this is how I speak to my body now, as opposed to before. I was sad, I was frustrated with it, I was angry with it, and I was just keeping it in a very dis-ease place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically where I am today is um, trying to help women free themselves from this very, very masculine strategic diet prison that we're in and actually help women learn to love their bodies again and trust their bodies again and ultimately reach a freedom of being able to enjoy the foods you want,
Mm-hmm.
while being in the body you love. Because you can have both.
Yeah, I mean, one reason well, there's many reasons I wanted you on the podcast, but one thing I love that you talk about, and people are shocked when I say this, is that, GLP-1s have their time and place. And, everyone thinks, oh, like I'm, very against, all these. And it's like, I love, obviously for the right person, but the positive outlook on them and how beneficial they can be. And one thing I love that you mention is there's also an energetic side to this as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can take how many people have taken these and still not seen the results. Yes, you have to still keep a healthy vessel, we still have to do the nutrition, but there's also this huge emotional component and identity component that you also need to shift and change as well. It's not just eat less, work out more, do the things like that you've been doing. Maybe they worked at one time.
Yeah.
How many of our clients they worked and they think I'm just going to go back to that? you know um I'd love for you to go a little bit more onto kind of those identity shifts and maybe some of that emotional reprogramming that you had to do in order to see the result. The eye roll, yeah, that's the hard part. We were talking about
Yeah.
before we recorded.
Well, one thing that just really like stuck out to me during like the last year and a half is I was reading a book at my church, and he says in there the body is not responsible. Like the body is literally a vegetable. The body is just like a piece of meat. So in essence, it can't, like, I literally came up with the thing of like, you cannot be your body's bitch. And I was my body's bitch. I was literally letting it run me. Like, I got to feed it this and I got to do this and this. And all doing this in the world will not do anything until you address your beingness. And the being part is what you're talking about, this identity shift. If you are on a crazy diet and crazy macros, but your beingness is, I hate it. I don't
Yep.
trust my body. My body sucks. I hate my body. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm sick. I'm riddled with illness. I'm predisposed to so many genetic things. That's who you're being.
Mm-hmm.
No amount of doing this against that is going to work. It may for a second, because you can, like, the body will respond to certain things. It will. But there will always come a time where the body will stop responding to it.
Yep.
Even like you said, GLP-1s. That's
Mhm.
why I can't, people ask me all the time for where do you get your GLP-1? And I'm like, in my program, you can find out, because I refuse to just give you this thing without you also working on
Mhm.
ensuring that, yes, there are things you have to do, like making sure you do get enough protein, that
Mhm.
you as a woman get enough sleep, that
Mhm.
you choose joy and like understand how important rest is.
Mhm.
Because without that, the GLP-1 may work for a bit, but again, you will plateau because you are not healing
Mhm.
your relationship with yourself, and you're depending on something outside of you to
Mhm.
fix the issue, and it never will. That's why people chase the next thing. I was like that, like, oh, carnivore. Oh,
Mhm.
one. But GLP-1 came in my life at a time when I was also changing my full on, like, perspective about well-being, which wasn't working harder gets better results. It was actually doing less. So
Mhm.
I had to shift my identity from being so disciplined to working on, how can I be so disciplined and not being disciplined?
Mhm.
How can I flow more? How can I
Mhm.
listen to my body more without shaming myself,
Mhm.
without feeling guilty? These were like major identity shifts that I've been working on the last few months of like, if my son is sick and he sleeps till 8, I'm going to sleep in with him, and
Mhm.
not making myself a bad person because that's what I chose.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, this is a story that we hear time and time again, right? But I think it is so difficult to release control, because we think releasing control, surrendering equals going back to the way you were. You know what I mean? For so many women, it's weight loss, right? Oh, I'm just going to gain all of the weight back. My hormone and gut issues are just going to come rapidly filing back, and it's like, that's no, you've changed. You're going to continue to change. And I think that's why also stuff that you do is so important is, yes, medication has its time and place. And you have to create a different being in order to hold the results, and you shift. I think so many people don't realize that you shift and change throughout the years, right? We're trying to identify with an old version of ourselves that's no longer in alignment. We talked about this, right? But that's no longer in alignment. So yes, things are not going to work the same way. And that's trying to tell you something. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that something's wrong. It means that you need a different approach. And that's the most beautiful thing in the world. For me, it was shifting into more bioenergetics, bioresonance work. For you, it's more, GLP-1s. It's like there are so many different modalities that
Yeah.
are not still this coming from a place of hate and shame. It's like if women knew, releasing a little bit of control, coming back to their essence again, but it doesn't feel natural. We're like not taught that that's like the way, especially when you come from like, I mean, I was a professional dancer too, right? So it's like, just do more, you know,
Yeah.
grind yourself into the ground. It doesn't matter how you feel, just as long as you get the results. And I
Yeah.
actually, if I talked to a client a few weeks ago, I was like, if that's the only thing you care about is weight loss, no matter what, you will do anything that's no longer in alignment with the way that we teach, because even if you lose the weight, right? You're not going to be happy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're not in your core going to be happy. And that manifests so much into, I mean, we both have autoimmune diseases, right? Into so many other things. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to shift that and change that. And I think you and I were chatting. I think that's harder than any sort of protocol you can possibly do. It's like the rewiring,
Yes.
repatterning, re-identifying, you know? And
Yeah. Following a plan, like food, no big deal. You
mm-mm.
want me to, like, people ask, did you gradually get rid of those foods? And I was like, absolutely not. Rachel said, you're not going to eat this. And I was like, let's go. Like, I'm fully all in.
Yeah.
But now I see this all in or nothing as like, that's maybe not a good thing. Like, there has to be a balance, not just with you, but with your dynamics, like with your family. And this bled over into my business where I was fully like business, grow the business, scale, success, achieve results. And eventually my thyroid had
Mm.
something to say about that. My TSH doubled in a matter of 2 months
Mm.
because I
Mm.
was so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was like, "Hey, remember me?" And my husband had assumed all of the mom hat.
Mm-hmm.
He was taking care of my son because I was busy making all the money and building my business. And
Yeah.
that's not balance. And I used to preach like balance, there is no balance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's masculine. Like women's power is in listening to the body, listening to your intuition. And I realized just how out of communication women are with themselves because we wake up and we're just on automatic autopilot. Wake
Mm-hmm.
up, feed the kids, the lunch, take them to school, go to
Yep.
work, pick them up, take them to soccer, make dinner. And then, like, at the end of the day, your husband needs attention or your wife or whatever. And did you ever stop during the day and go, "Hey, Claude, how are you feeling? Hey, Claude, what do you need right now?"
Mm-hmm.
So we're just fully disconnected from the body
Mm-hmm.
and out of communication with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care what you try to do from that state. It's not gonna, it might do a little bit, but like I said, it will not be long term.
Mm-mm. No. And even a little bit, maybe it's the 5 pounds, maybe it's that your gut, it's a little bit, but what other things are going on? What about that joint ache? What about that fatigue you keep fighting through? What about that endometriosis that suddenly has, just reared its ugly? It's like all these things are interconnected, right? And as
Yeah.
women, I feel like, it's like finding home in your body again, is difficult, and can absolutely be done because chronic diseases, autoimmune stuff, it's like we can shift these. The body can heal itself. Whatever modality, there's so many, again, like so many modalities to find that. But it doesn't matter if you do GLP-1s, the next diet, whatever it is. Ultimately, it's always going to come down to feeling safe in your body, right? Knowing that you can have control of this again, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's about allowing, it's not about pushing and forcing and chasing and efforting your way to weight loss and well-being. It's about allowing that to happen.
mhm.
And you can only allow that to happen by feeling good, feeling joy, feeling peace, peace
Mm-hmm.
within. That's how you allow things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see women in their 40s who've had kids who have banging bodies, right? There's not a lot of women like that that I know, but I know a few, especially in the dance industry.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not focused on disease. They're not focused on gaining weight in their 40s. It's not a consideration of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And if one person can do it, then I know it's possible for all. And it's really just about getting out of our own way and
Mm-hmm.
changing our thoughts and beliefs about our bodies, about our well-being, and allowing it to just fucking happen. Like women attract, we don't chase. And that goes for everything. It goes for business, it goes for relationships, it goes for weight loss and well-being. Don't chase it. But dieting and this and that, it's all chasing.
We're not taught another way, you know.
We are not.
That's
Well, now.
we don't know another way. And that's how we control things, right? As women, we want to control. And when things don't work, what do? You control harder. And then things don't work, and then you create a story about I'm broken, things are not working. It's me. I must be not disciplined enough. And then you feel bad about yourself. You start putting yourself down, and it creates this horrible vicious cycle that I'm sure you see every day.
Yeah. And that I pushed for a long time.
Yeah.
That I put that shame on myself and I put it out there. And I don't demonize that version of me. I think it's important to not invalidate any season of your life.
Yeah.
Any. It led me to where I am. It
Hmm.
did help a lot of people, but I could no longer align with like making women feel bad about themselves because they weren't disciplined enough or because they weren't able to say no to the cookie. It's giving my clients like, or women in general can't have, is like, you can't have that. And then they do, and then they feel shame because I
Hmm.
said, don't have it. And I didn't want to do that to women anymore. And especially not myself. And, you
Yeah.
know, um, not especially, but it started with me and then being like, oh, I don't want to do that to women anymore. Make them feel like if they can't do this, they're not good enough.
And I feel like that says a huge thing too about your character. And I've seen this a lot in the industry too, is like this shift, this massive shift of being like, the way that was working and now it's not. And I think that's beautiful to be like, listen, this worked and it no longer is in alignment. This is where we're going now. And it's not that that was wrong. Like that's the thing is it's not that it's wrong. It's going to serve it serves a certain type of person, right? It's like, that's why I love this podcast. There's so many different avenues, right? You find what's right for you. And when you feel like it's no longer in alignment, don't ignore that nudge, right?
Right.
Be open, be ready to receive maybe some other options, right? Um, and listen to that because when you come home to that, you're like, okay, thank
Yeah.
goodness. I stopped pushing, things that no longer in alignment. It's not that, again, your body's not reacting to it for a certain reason. We have to,
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And I think a lot of people tend to ignore it because it's comfortable to stay.
oh,
It's
100%
comfortable to
safe.
stay in what you know
Hmm.
and not take this leap of going into this unknown. I mean, it is
Hmm.
scary, but
Hmm.
you're going to become more and more miserable the more you
Hmm.
ignore the shift.
Hmm. What would you say is like, if somebody's maybe in this cycle that you've been in, very scared to do something different, wanting to go back to their old ways, realizing it's not working, feeling a little trapped in their own body? What would be like one or two pieces of advice that you would kind of give them?
Oof. I would say it's so hard because anything I say is going to be way easier said than done. But
Mhm.
I would say, like, just say fuck it for a bit. Take your focus completely off the body. Remember when you were a little girl, you were 4 or 5 years old, and we didn't think about our bodies. We just lived. We put
Mhm.
on the bikini, our stomachs just hung out. We didn't give a slight fuck about what we look like. And we had it right. And we've forgotten how to just be free. So practice just putting on the clothes that make you feel good, right? Practice not weighing yourself. Let go of the macros, let go of the rules, just let go. And it is going to be scary, but just let go. Say, I'm going to try this for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I'm not going to weigh myself. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to ask myself a few times a day, how do I feel? What do I need?
Mhm.
And I think another piece of advice is do things, first of all, do less. Do things that bring you joy, like a dance class, if that's what it is, knitting, reading, taking a walk, like something that just brings you so much joy. Do it. Having a coffee at your favorite cafe by yourself. Take the time to do things that bring you joy, that you did before you became a mom, that you did before you started the business. What did you do before all the responsibilities? And if I can offer one more, is fucking set some boundaries.
Mhm.
Don't just allow people in your life because they're the mother-in-law or because they're your mom. Don't just allow things to be going on around you that make you feel gross. Like, handle it. Put boundaries there. As women, I think we just go into people pleasing, and that's what we were taught, is to make everyone feel comfortable and don't offend anyone. I've never had this problem. I am not afraid to offend people at when it comes to my life and my survival. And if someone is sort of threatening that in a way, and women, we know that doesn't feel good. Like, I don't like when you talk to me that way, but we won't say anything. We just allow it to go on.
Mhm.
So communicate,
Mhm.
handle it. If they don't, like, I've had to do this with my own mom and really like send her a list of the things she's not allowed to talk to me about. And so I think because for me, ethics play a big part also in how we feel. And the more we do things that go against our own moral code, the worse we feel.
Mhm.
And little things like not saying something when you should have, not eating the food at the restaurant that came out that you knew wasn't right, but you didn't want to send it back. Those little tiny things add up. And I really believe in like fucking choose you, no matter what. Choose you. It doesn't mean you have to be a bitch or anything, but handle the situations that you know need to be handled and say things when you want to say things. So many women hold back trying to be nice. Don't do it because all that just sits in your body.
Mhm.
And we wonder why women are 80% of the people with autoimmune disease. So those would be like my three big things to sort of shift into this more feminine essence.
Such good little nuggets. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for coming on here and sharing all this. I hope that this was really insightful for, those people listening. I would love to know if this was helpful. Shoot Claude or me a message. I'm sure we would love to hear some insights from you guys.
Yeah.
But Claude, where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram. That's where I'm at most of the time, at Glow Up with Chloe. You can shoot me a DM. I answer every single DM from everyone. And yeah, we can talk from there.
Awesome. Definitely go follow her. She's incredible. And if you guys found this helpful, as always, would love it if you guys left a review or shared it with someone who maybe could benefit from this knowledge as well. So thank you, Claude, so much for being on here, and we will catch you guys on the next show.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.